Chapter 1, Must-Haves. Basic Material. Ida cloth, a type that comes in many plain colors. This is the most basic cloth for cross-stitch and is used only for that craft. It is constructed with large loopholes that enable easier maneuvering of needles, and the large gaps allow you to count the stitches more accurately, which is crucial in determining your starting point. The cross-stitch needle. Unlike other needles, such as the one being used for hand sewing, this needle has no sharp point, but instead has a rounded tip. The needle hole is a bit bigger than the usual needle to allow easier threading. Cotton embroidery floss. A special type of thread made for cross-stitch, made of cotton. This is shiny and has more vibrant color than ordinary thread, which is necessary to emphasize important areas in the pattern. The best-known makers of embroidery floss on the market are DMC, Anchor, J.P. Coates, Krennic, Weeks Dye Works, The Gentle Art, Crescent Colors, and Threadworks. Printed pattern. This is the printed black and white copy pattern that works as the blueprint of your project. It indicates symbols and legends that correspond to floss thread color and placement direction. The size of the pattern also determines how big the finished project will be, and it has the same number of geometrical squares as the Ida cloth. Cross-stitch kit. This is basically a sort of container kit to keep all your cross-stitch materials. It has several compartments to separate floss, threads, and other materials from cluttering the inside of the box, especially the floss. If the floss is not kept properly, it might tangle and become hard to separate. Scissors. Obviously, you have to have something to cut your threads cleanly. Not using a scissor just causes the thread to unravel, which makes it harder to push it through the needle hole. Beads and charms. Beads are sometimes embroidered together with the floss thread. Usually, professional embroiderers are the ones who use such materials to embellish a complex design. Most of the time, beads are added to clothing, such as formal dresses. In terms of cross-stitch projects, beads are needed in order to make embedded images. Other accessories. Needle threader for easier threading. Floss bobbins. Floss storing material. Mounting boards for steady embroidery work. Embroidery clip wheel for keeping the cloth steady. Needle case for holding needles. Lap stand to keep the cloth steady in your lap. Sticker packs, stickers to mark areas which are finished. Where to find materials. Online. There are several embroidery websites that offer free shipping on almost all materials needed for cross-stitching. You can choose from a wide variety of brands and project supplies at a very reasonable price. Embroidery shops. Embroidery shops are usually found in malls and specialty shops around town. They have all things related to embroidery, and you may get a bargain if you purchase all the supplies for a project at once. Crafting shops. Since cross-stitch has become a popular hobby, bookshops and school supply stores now have crafting sections where you can find cross-stitch kits which have everything you need in a single pack. Kits are excellent for beginners because all the materials have been pre-counted and you can be sure you have exactly the amount you need to start a project. Useful tip. Do not choose a pattern with more than 3 colors if you are just a beginner. Having too large a color palette may confuse you and could ruin your entire project. In selecting the right pattern, it is important to see if the pattern requires brightly colored threads. This will make your cross stitches come alive in terms of color and will look vibrant when hung on the wall. Consult an expert embroiderer if you can't decide which pattern to start working on as a beginner. They have a whole lot of advice to give you and some pointers to help you accomplish a decent project. Practice makes perfect, so you can always practice making stitches on a spare cloth to get the hang of it. Once you realize that you are good enough to make consistent stitches, you are ready to get the real thing. In choosing the right floss threads, buy only from respected and proven quality makers of embroidery products, such as the ones we have mentioned in the previous section. Bargain threads often have inconsistent dye lots and may break very easily. Check the threads and needles included in the cross-stitch kits you purchase. Some of the threads are already tangled, and there are times that the needle is broken. Check the pack first and see to it that the threads are well organized and intact and free from plucked cottons, and that the needle is in perfect condition.